gung, 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 gung.
Hey, welcome to Sunrise Extra on a Wednesday.
It feels like it should be later in the week.
Last night I was like, ooh,
it's Wednesday
tomorrow.
It's been a long week. Lots has happened.
I'm glad you're saying all this because I did post something on Facebook this morning saying, hey, this is one of those weeks where you may just need to be reminded what day it is.
Right?
Especially if you're at home the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, you just forget.
It is Wednesday.
Yes, thank you for joining us. We are talking about fun ways that you guys are being creative, how you're getting outdoors, how you're coping with this. The internet has been funny. There has been some great memes, some great tweets of just kind of, the sarcastic humor of what we are all going through.
Yeah.
Some cool moments that we have seen this week. We want to throw up the Hollywood Theater sign over in my neck of the woods on Northeast Sandy, because on their marquee, they've been shut down to show movies, but on their marquee it says, "We will get through this, Portland." And so I love driving past and seeing that. If you are headed out and about in your car today on a freeway through Oregon, you will see these reader boards. Because there's such little traffic, if they don't have any crashes to tell you about or slowdowns, it says give extra space to each other and on the road. So we're kind of launching a new hashtag campaign. Let us know, are you helping grocery shop for some older neighbors? Are you picking up stuff? Are you helping mail letters that they need to get out and about? Use the hashtag KGW Together. If you post it on your social sites, if you use that hashtag, we will find it. We would love to share it on the air and on our social sites because we have to be positive.
Yeah, we do. You've got to
right?
stay positive. I loved the reminder, though, that Kevin Love, the NBA player who grew up in Lake Oswego, gave. He's on the Today Show this morning. But at the end, because he's had some mental health struggles, he said, you know what, it's freaking us all out, this coronavirus thing. But it is especially important. Sometimes people who have mental health challenges are particularly vulnerable and susceptible to that widespread panic and to, just the social isolation that you feel. And just kind of remember the big picture. We're all kind of in that same frantic mode on some level, but we do have to stay helpful and hopeful. Both of those things.
I thought the sun was rising in the west this morning. That's how
funny.
discombobulated I am. We saw a picture of Cannon Beach and it was like a ship's light right on the horizon.
I said moon set, and then Brenda was probably correct when you said it was a ship light. But sometimes you look at those
Your
live
brain
cameras and you're not seeing what you expect to see, and it kind of throws you a little bit.
It was a weird kind of black and white looking thing. So
Stanford Walker, the first to check in on our Facebook feed this morning.
Good morning, sir.
Stanford has been there since, I'm going to say, day one. Yeah. And if it wasn't day one, I know it was day two of Sunrise Extra months ago. So Stanford, the first to chime in this morning, saying at his house they're catching up on the honeydew list.
Yep.
Cleaning the garage, cleaning the gutters.
Oh, yeah.
Also gardening, lots of house cleaning, painting, lots of stuff to do. And it is a good point. I mean, a lot of people are getting those lists taken care of. And this is a great week to do it because of the weather, too. I mean, you can't do the gardening without that great weather.
But we're trying to stay positive. Now we've got, oh my goodness, it's the honeydew list.
What's amazing is, in our house, let's go to the tag word real quick. Enough about me, let's talk about you. We have Christy. Christy chiming in this morning saying, I've been scheduling lots of Zoom, coffee, and lunch get-togethers with friends.
Nice.
It's been great to stay connected virtually. It's not an act of kindness, but we are sure happy. Someone should probably explain what Zoom is to some of our other.
It's like a free video conferencing or like FaceTime, basically.
Okay.
If you don't have a smartphone.
I'll read you April Johnson's comment here. She says, my son's third grade teacher, and we talked about this on the Sunrise TV show. This is a great story. April's son's third grade teacher hosted a Zoom meeting for his students. For an hour, this teacher guided the kids through an art lesson. And she said more important than that was the teacher gave the kids an opportunity to reconnect with their classmates. She talked about her kids being so excited to see each other. They actually had some fun drawing as well. April went on to say, I, as a parent, was glad to have an hour where I didn't have to plan or direct my child's activity. Our teachers are so kind and selfless. It makes my heart swell, she says.
Oh, I love this. So Byron Beck, he's written for the Oregonian, the Willamette Week over the years. He's kind of the social What? Celebrity spotter, social butterfly of Portland. So he posted these photos. He lives kind of over by UP in North Portland, and he and his neighbors are doing this thing called #outside@5. And if you can scroll, there it is. So last night, see, every neighbor is standing out front of their driveway with a cocktail. I love it. He
Nice.
says, practice social distancing on North Farragut Street, but still drinking boxed wine with our wonderful neighbors. We will do this every day at 5 p.m. until they say we can't. Outside at 5. I loved that.
That's
You
my
get to check
style
in,
right there.
share
Absolutely.
stories, virtually clink glasses,
Yes.
and and I thought I saw Brian Stelter of CNN, who covers a lot of like media news. He has a show on the weekends, and he said, I don't like this labeling of social distancing, and he started physical distancing because we have to stay
connected socially.
Yeah.
We had
Each other.
an interview with a PSU professor last night, and he said the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Physical
distancing.
Yeah.
So again, you can chime in with us this morning on Sunrise Extra. You can do so by way of text. We actually have a text number. You see it right there on the screen, 503-226-5111. So you can text us your responses, or of course chime in if you're watching either on Facebook or YouTube. You can chime in on those streams. Jeff Lucas, another faithful viewer of Sunrise Extra, says he's about to head over to a fitness class outside on a basketball court. He says his gym closed last Sunday. So I'm curious to hear about that. But even that, am I right in saying that even that you have to be careful? Because in a group fitness class, typically, those classes are structured where you're somewhat close to the people near you. You need to really spread out on that basketball court, or still keep the numbers to a minimum.
I'm sure they'll do that. I'm assuming they will, right? They probably have a...
Only Jeff Lucas would know.
We would know, but
Jeff, tell us how many people are in this class. Because if you're following the orders of Governor Brown, she's saying no more than 25 in a group setting. But really, they would love to see no more than 10.
The president had announced that with some of the national guidelines.
Yeah.
Another one of our regulars on our Facebook live stream, Ginny Carlson. Good morning, girl. She says all the bands, like the local bands, are streaming live free music. It is awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
boy, when you think about that, performers and artists who gig every weekend and now they can't do it. There's the restaurant workers and the bar owners and the musicians, and there's such a domino effect. Lots of people who are trying to find ways to still do their craft.
It is important, though. You also talked about the mental side of this, because it can be overwhelming. I know it is for so many of our viewers who are now thinking, how am I going to tackle working from home every day for the foreseeable future? And how am I going to do that if you're in a situation where your kids are now home with you? And schools are going to help out. The governor has told schools they need to supply these kids with a lesson plan, essentially, moving forward. And I think that'll probably start for most Oregon kids after the spring break week, next week. But I know that I'm just basing this on the home situation. My wife is still trying to work a full-time job. So, at some point in her day, she needs to get in 8 hours of work. There's kids at home who we can't just say, hey, normally you might say to your neighbors, hey, why doesn't Lucas come over here for the day, and then we'll send Caleb and Chase over there tomorrow. That's out. That's no longer an option. We can't really help your neighbors out in that way. You want to send your kids out to play, but when they go to the park with their gang of friends, how close are they to their friends? I can't monitor that if I just set them free and say, hey, go out and ride your bikes, go to the park, meet up with Finley and Joe. And so it's easy to say those things like, hey, get outside and enjoy the sunshine, but there's still some regulations and some limitations that have to be put here. What I was getting at is this. My wife was talking about, man, this is just the beginning, right? Because we're thinking about how am I going to get through this week? And now we're told the kids are going to be home for another
6 weeks.
6 weeks total. I've always dealt with my life by thinking things one day at a time. And sometimes, without going too far into the hole here, I can kind of slip into a depressed state in my life. But what I'll typically do is not think too far in the future. Right? Let's just deal with one day as it goes, which drives my wife nuts. Because that means I'm not thinking about this weekend, I'm not thinking about next week, and I'm certainly not thinking about next month.
She's a planner.
But right now, you sort of have to start thinking about those things, because we are at the beginning of this. We're not like in the middle of it. We are potentially at the very beginning of this, what could be a long stretch. And I get annoyed when I see something like this comment from Elizabeth.
Be positive.
Elizabeth saying, ridiculous. What's ridiculous, Elizabeth? This conversation?
Oh, there was another one on there that was I was going to ask the same thing. You have to specify. Tell us more. What do you think is ridiculous?
Is it Stanford Walker's comment specifically that's ridiculous? What is ridiculous that we're talking about?
Hey, let me, before I did want to mention this, I didn't do it on Sunrise this morning. Of course, a reminder to check local businesses before you take the time
to drive there.
To go there. And up on Mount Hood, Ski Bowl was open through yesterday, and then they announced yesterday they would be closed starting today. So now, so-called official, I guess, all of the Mount Hood resorts are in fact closed right now.
We have another comment. Julie Wyatt says, I really feel for parents who are trying to work at home with kids there. It is much easier to ignore my cats.
Can I tell you something about Julie Wyatt?
Tell me.
You saw her earlier today. She was one of the 2 viewers we had on the Sunrise TV show.
Oh, nice. Thanks, Julie, for doing that. That was really, I loved her. Was that the soundbite I was laughing about?
At the end, yep.
Her cat's like yowling in the background.
Oh, yeah, that was
I can totally. No, it's not. Not when it happens.
Now, I've taped some things in the past and Maximus will bark, and I'm like, Maximus, now I got to redo it.
Yeah. They seem to know, like, when you're having a conversation with, and kids seem to know because it's not about them anymore. And then they pipe up. Same with animals. It's just kind of funny about that.
Julie was funny. We didn't include this in our conversation this morning on the Sunrise TV show, but when we were talking with Julie yesterday, she was saying, yeah, the cats will always pipe up when she needs them to be quiet most. And then her husband is also sometimes a problem at home because I guess he works an early shift, so he's home by like 12:30 or 12:45 in the afternoon. Julie's not done working, but the husband comes home and is like, let's talk. Let's talk about the day. And she goes, sometimes I tell him, hey,
gotta embrace that in a husband.
The
let's
husband
talk,
sometimes a problem at home.
Well, I think we all deal with that situation. Our significant others will often talk to us when we don't want to talk, and then,
I know. Yeah. Hey, one of my favorite Twitter handles, I always call him out when I see him, Men in Pajamas on Twitter. Love your Twitter handle. He says he's riding his Harley down the road. That is his social separation. It's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, that's physical distancing at its best.
Yeah, that we're hearing. It's still okay as long as you are doing all the rules to be outdoors. Yeah.
We went to the park the other day with my daughter and went down the slide and everything, and there was there was 3 sets of kids and their parents flying kites on that windy day on Monday.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. They were way up there, and I mean, but to see 3 kites, you know, at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon outside was
That's usually
fun.
A coastal thing when I go there. I see everybody flying kites. Pat Brucken says introverts rule. I guess you just want to be out and about. It's just fine that you're at home today.
It's funny because sometimes we have a problem. Like right now, the problem is we can't do things that we normally would do. We can't socially interact the way we're accustomed to. Then we come with a solution. And then the solution has a problem. Case in point.
What?
Nicole Pratt. Good morning, Nicole. Watching on Facebook, she says, the kids played an old school game of hide and seek last night. They did it outside, so a good old school game. She said, and then...
Hiding is good. Right now.
Coyote showed up in the neighborhood.
Oh, come on.
Really?
Yes. Kids were forced to come back inside.
What part of town?
That was my question too, Nia. So where do you live, Nicole, where this coyote showed up in the front yard disrupting an old school game of hide and seek with your kids?
I saw on my next door in Northeast Portland there was a coyote this week in someone's yard. We have coyote. I've seen 4 of them running
just about anywhere and everywhere.
I live up in, near the hills, and they cross my path frequently.
I like hide and seek though. That sounds like a perfect
Oh man,
physical distancing game.
Wait, you know what? Wait a minute. I have to say this. Can I totally do a digression? We used to hear the coyotes yipping and yapping, and I'm like, oh my God, somebody's cat is dead. They're like feeding. And then I did a little Googling, so take it for what it's worth, but it said that that's how they socially distance and let people know this is my territory, I'm here, and I'm on the prowl tonight.
So
it wasn't as grisly as I thought. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
Okay.
All right. Back to it.
All right. Just one text to quickly bring into the mix because we like when people are actually texting into the Sunrise Extra show. And who texts more than anyone else?
Bubba?
Bubba texted today.
Oh, Bubba! What's up?
It was a simple text this morning. It was a response to the story you ran about Byron Beck, whose neighborhood kind of came outside together at 5 and stood on their driveways and acknowledged each other. He wrote, Bubba wrote, #outside@5, #passed out at 6.
Hey, whatever.
They all had the drinks in their hands there at 5 o'clock, right?
We're all going to hopefully sleep a little, more hours since you don't have to commute.
Amy Walker has a good one, you guys. She says, I've been getting my daughter learning her math facts. It's a dancing video, and she loves it. And her principal is doing story time on Facebook for all her students in the evening at York Elementary here in Vancouver, Washington. Go, Miss Harris.
Nice.
Miss Harris rules.
I got a comment for you to share from Brian Goodman, because this brings up a good point, but real quickly, the hide and go seek comment made me think about our own kids. So the boys, they'll be 13 in September. But they did something that I think they used to do all the time when they were about 8. They built like a fort inside the house yesterday with some sheets and some cardboard and all kinds. There was like 2 umbrellas involved in this operation. And they put it in our bedroom, which right next to where the dog's crate is, where the dog sleeps at night. So like they kind of like have these sleeping quarters now, if they wanted them, which I haven't allowed yet, next to the dog. But anyway, so they said, Dad, you got to come check this out. It is pretty awesome. I just texted Mia to send us a picture.
Oh,
of it.
nice.
Oh, nice.
So we can see this. It's pretty awesome. I was able to get inside of this thing last night, and they have like 2 beds in there, like 2 mattresses, mattress pads. Anyways, I took a nap in that, a legitimate nap.
That's weird.
In this fort yesterday. No, it's weird.
It is kind of weird.
Well, I went in there. I was like, boys, this is comfortable. And they're like, I said, I could take a nap in there right now. They're like, don't do that, Dad. I said, no, I'm going to. And I did. I fell asleep for about 20 minutes in this little boy's fort. So I'm efforting pictures.
You took away your kid's fort.
No, they
That's
loved
what
it.
you did.
They loved the fact that their parent was inside there taking advantage of it. They probably went downstairs and played a video game. I wanted to share Brian Goodman's real quick.
Go ahead.
Brian Goodman, back to more serious talk. He says, it's kind of funny how we're shutting down schools and bars and all those places right now where people get together in mass meetings, but we're still sending people to work at mass factories and mills. What is the point of shutting down when people still have to go to other places of mass gathering to work? The only thing I would say to that is it's not a perfect
It's not a
solution right
mandate yet, you know, like.
Well, I mean, you can't shut down everything or there'd be
It's not
no
a public gathering,
food.
and that is exactly the problem. That is exactly the problem.
It's an issue.
Not a mandate yet.
But you can't
Businesses do
close
not have to.
everything. I mean, literally, you can't, or we would all run out of food.
Life.
I mean, there has to be somebody working
And
somewhere.
you have to have public
to provide
safety, and you
essential
have to,
supplies.
yeah, but it's so interesting.
Yesterday,
Let's see where we end up.
there was a trending hashtag called quarantine cats, and people were posting pictures of, trying to work from home with their cats covering their laptops. Our photographer, Eric Patterson, we love him. He has 2 cats, Misty, Whiskey Furs, and I can't remember the other one. At least they aren't walking on my keyboard. Working from home has some challenges. The cats insist on snoozing next to me. It's making me so very tired. I blame the Humane Society that I fell so much in love with my girls. There she is.
That's Eric Patterson, right? You mentioned that was Eric Patterson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those are our news cameras. So a lot of our newsroom is like empty.
It's pretty
almost.
quiet. Isn't it?
Hey, speaking of
making us come to
photographer,
work.
look at this guy. Chad
Chad is here. There he is.
They're working remotely, so we have to call them to see,
What are you doing in here, Chad? Just checking in? All right.
Doing some work.
Excellent.
Good morning to you.
Krista Grant on YouTube had a question. She says, off topic, but no one has really mentioned mail service. Is it going to continue? Will small businesses still be able to mail orders out? We have not heard of any changes with the Postal Service, so as of now, that is fine. So far, the mail's still going, Director Brian says, and Brian Rock Rail Fan on YouTube says so far the mail is going too. So
Jeff Lucas says all this quarantine time should reduce the carbon footprint from pollution. And then Jenny Carlson said, where is the photo? I haven't seen this. Where is the photo of blue sky in China due to the slowdown?
I've heard about that, how the pollution has really gone down.
You think that's a legit deal?
Well,
I don't know.
Keep in mind, I've been to China. There are parts of China that, I think this is a correct statement, I'm not positive, I think it's a correct statement, that there are parts of China that literally have had thick haze for years, nearly uninterrupted, where it's just on a beautiful clear blue sky, you don't do it. But there are other parts of China that are just like we are here in the United States. They have their sunny days or cloudy days, so I would caution where that picture was taken from.
Well, I don't know about a picture, but they did measure it, and it's significantly down.
Well, that makes sense.
At least over Wuhan.
Like the other, the footprint, the emissions clearly down if people are not traveling as much. Yeah.
Can you talk about your brother-in-law in South Korea? I thought that was really interesting.
Oh yeah, so my wife's brher runs an English academy in basically downtown Seoul. They live in the city. Seoul, if you don't know, for some scale, is a larger city than New York is. And he has been, so the school's there, and he has a private school, but it's closed as well. It's been roughly a month now, and we talked to him over the weekend, and they had 2 more weeks to go, and he thought at the time there was at least some rhetoric that it was possible that after what would be 6 weeks that some reopenings would take place. So he didn't know, but he felt like there was the buzz around town that for the first time that it was possible that they were kind of starting to eye the end of this. And of course, it's been widely reported and praised that South Korea was one of the leaders in doing testing and making it easy to get tested and that they were or have been praised for doing a number of things correctly. So that's kind of the latest, where their schools have been out for a month and are thinking maybe in a couple more weeks there's hope that they could start seeing some reopenings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Where was it? Did we say Kentucky, Drew? Where the schools are just
closed for the rest of the
announcing
year.
for the rest of the
It's either Kansas or
school year?
Kentucky.
Kansas. It was Kansas.
Okay.
Being a Midwest boy,
How
I pay
nuts
attention to
would
Midwest
they
news.
just move on then to the next
Right.
grade? Is there like a test over summer you'd have to take? I mean, I wonder how that would work.
I don't know. I don't.
What's the
think they know
difference in
probably
Kansas
yet.
between a high schooler and a grade school? I'm just kidding.
geez.
That's a Missouri joke.
I just
Midwest
wonder, like,
humor.
you know,
Midwest
like-
humor.
During these difficult times. No, it's a great question. And I thought the same thing yesterday when I thought to
What are
myself,
your boys? Are they in sixth
grade.
So they would,
dominating, by the way, 6th grade, dominating. Probably ready for 7th grade right now, if you ask
Takes
me.
after their dad.
But I thought the same thing yesterday because I feel like it's inevitable. I think it's going to happen here. I feel like we may have seen the last in-school session of the calendar year.
I kind of feel the same way.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But they're going to, they're going to start after spring break getting lessons at home. So they're going to try to complete some 6th
Oh, is
grade
that
schoolwork.
true,
Yes.
huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We have, man, you're probably looking at the same thing.
time
There's
is it?
so many good. I think we should close with this one.
Sure.
Because I think this is the embodiment of what Sunrise Extra is supposed to be.
Oh, here it comes.
Let's hear
Go for it.
Viewers helping viewers through the feed. Audrey Butler. Good morning, Audrey Butler. The camera's getting closer as I talk about you, Audrey Butler. She says those of us with home-based businesses have an advantage to those of you who are just getting started. And then she offers some advice because she herself has a home-based business, does Audrey. She says discipline is the key.
Yeah.
Schedule all you do on your calendars, and that includes the playtime you need to work in with your kids. Get out of the jammies. As cool as that may sound,
man, that'd be
to
so
work in your
hard.
jammies. Get out of the jammies, Audrey says, and enjoy the adventure.
Yeah.
All right. There you go.
So
Last word. Mic drop.
Share your stories of kindness. We want to feature them on the air. #KGW Together. See you tomorrow.